What is up, everybody? Spaz here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to another episode of Infamous Heist. I am having a ton of fun making these videos, researching all these heists, and I am really glad that you guys enjoy this series because there are some really cool heists to read about, and a lot of them, I know I said this in the last video, they've kind of molded some of the content in Payday 2, and in particular the one we're going to talk about today has had a substantial influence on the game, and we'll get into that in a second. But with every video in this series, I want to maintain some sort of informational aspect in terms of the gameplay. So like I said in the first video, I'll either link a build that is a favorite build of mine, a build I'm working on, or even something you guys send in. And in this video, what had happened, we're trying to do the Go Bank heist on Overkill Loud, and we were running into some problems. I was particularly in a lobby that isn't showcased in this video because I had to jump out, respec, and gather my thoughts as to how I could help the lobby finish out this mission. So I respec'd into Enforcer, and my initial goal was to test out Overkill Aced Out. I was in a hurry, I wasn't able to ace it out, but I'm going to be testing this build that I've linked down in the description with Overkill Aced Out and an SMG with the mindset or thought process that if we proc Overkill, then switch to an SMG, get that 75% additional bonus, and put some shots on target. It might be, you know, something like an alternative to just a pure Enforcer shotgun build. The only issue with Overkill Aced, and a lot of people are hesitant to ace out this skill, you only have 5 seconds of that 75% added damage, so a lot of that time is chewed up by switching weapons. But this build is something I'm playing around with. This isn't a complete build. I don't always have a polished, complete build. I'm still tweaking this one, but I wanted to share it with you guys anyways. And then in terms of the gameplay as you're watching this Go Bank heist on Overkill, I want to note that this is only available on PC right now. It is not available on consoles. I don't have any update news for consoles, in particular 360. A lot of you have been sending me questions, hey, when is the 360 going to get its update? I don't know, and if as soon as I get word, or if I get some messages and emails back from people I've gotten in touch with, I will let you guys know. Until then, I don't have any update news, but when I do get it, I will tell you. I will never sit on that information and or hold it. And I also wanted to point out this in the gameplay. I wanted you to pay attention to how I take down a couple of these dozers using cover and the use of nades. Nades are really helpful in distracting a dozer, kind of temporarily paralyzing them so you can get in really close, maybe switch to a high rate of fire weapon and get all those shots on his faceplate before he has time to kind of react, respond, and recover. So anyways, guys, that's it for the build and the informational side. Let's go ahead and talk about this really cool second Infamous heist. So before I begin talking about this infamous and epic heist, I want to let you know I'm probably going to butcher some of these names. I'm not too clear on the pronunciations, but I'm going to give it my best shot, so I apologize if I severely screw up some of these names. Anyways, on August 23rd, 1973, a gentleman, if we can call him that, by the name of Jan Olsen stormed a credit bank at Norrmalmstorg, mispronounced that one, in central Stockholm. He was wearing an afro wig and sunglasses, carrying around a Swedish K, hence the Swedish K gameplay. He storms into this credit bank and opens fire and yells, "The party has only started." The cops responded immediately, and two of the initial responding officers actually went into the bank, and according to some reports, Olsen opened fire, injuring one of the officers, and the same report says that he ordered the other to sit in a chair and start singing. It sounds like we have a mastermind in our group. Anyways, he took a total of 4 hostages and began negotiations with the cops. He demanded that his old friend and old cellmate, Clark Olofsson, be brought to the bank from prison along with 3 million Swedish krona. Not Corona, this isn't beer, we're talking about currency. 2 guns, bulletproof vests, helmets, and a fast car. This was Sweden's first live televised armed standoff, and an epic one at that. There was so much drama revolving around this heist that the live coverage actually overshadowed the dying hours of King Gustav Adolf VI. Pretty crazy how obsessed the public was about this standoff. So the Swedish government agreed to bring Clark Olofsson to the bank, and the two barricaded themselves inside and tied the hostages to safety deposit boxes using snare traps to discourage the cops from using gas. There's actually a picture on Google from inside the bank while this heist was happening. You can see Olofsson off to the side, but one thing to notice is how the tellers and or workers are tied to these safety deposit boxes by the use of these snare traps. Pretty interesting. The Prime Minister, Olof Palme, definitely mispronounced that one, returned from campaign duties to help resolve the situation. And this is where things kind of take a weird twist. When the Prime Minister called, he spoke to one of the hostages, and her name was Kristen. And she expressed her concerns about police action and said she was comfortable with the robbers but was afraid that the police would cause trouble and put them at harm if they interfered. At one point in their conversation, Kristen said, "I am very disappointed. I think you are sitting there playing checkers with our lives. I fully trust Clark and the robber. I am not desperate. They have done nothing to us. On the contrary, they have been very nice. But you know, Olaf, what I'm scared of is that the police will attack and cause us to die." Now, I'm going to talk about this in a second because it's pretty interesting how this all kind of comes back around. Now, I also want to touch on this just really quick because it's somewhat comical, but the cops were devising some of the most interesting strategies to neutralize the robbers. One of their plans included putting a swarm of bees and or ping pong balls, I'm not making this up, guys, into the vault to drive the robbers out. The other plan was to drop blow-up dolls dressed in police uniforms into the vault to cause the robbers to fire all of the rounds. I don't know who came up with these ideas, but I had to bring them up. Anyways, the intense drama continued, and on August 26th, the cops began drilling a hole through the roof into the vault. Olofsson wasn't too happy about it, and he put his Swedish K up against the hole and started firing, injuring an officer's hand and face. Now, I believe he did this twice as well. Olofsson then threatened to shoot all of the hostages if they used gas. That was their biggest concern, was the use of gas. The police used gas anyways on August 28th, and the two robbers surrendered in about 30 minutes, ending one of the most intense live broadcasted robbery attempts. Now, the reason I wanted to bring up this heist or talk about this heist is because of the term Stockholm Syndrome. It originated from this robbery attempt. You guys are going to recognize that term because it is a skill in the mastermind tree. Stockholm Syndrome is a term still used to this day to describe the condition in which captives develop sympathy or begin identifying with their captors. Criminologists and psychologists state that captives that are subjected to threats and abuse, they begin to develop this false sense of reality in which they believe their only chance for survival is to support their captives or their captors. They believe this because of their emotional instability, and this condition or syndrome creates a confusing environment for police officers and negotiators, as seen in this drama-filled heist. As you can tell, like, it would be difficult, and it is difficult for cops to kind of approach these hostage situations, because if somebody is put in enough emotional duress, they begin to side with their captors, thinking that they are their only avenue for safety. So they start creating this emotional bond with the person who is actually putting them at harm, but it puts the cops in a bad light because they're afraid of what the cops are going to do. They're afraid that the cops are going to be the reason they get killed. Really cool that this term that is used in Payday 2 originated with this heist, and since then it's helped explain a lot of the different conditions you see in negotiations. So that's why I wanted to do this. After all is said and done, Olsen was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in the robbery, and after completing his sentence in 8 years, he never returned to a life of crime. He's been, crime-free his entire life, and I believe he lives in Thailand now. Lives in I think he's living just a pretty much normal life. Now, Olofsson's charges, on the other hand, were quashed after appeals because he told the courts that, hey, I didn't start this robbery, I didn't really have anything to do with it, despite the fact that he shot his gun at cops. But he said, I was only there to protect the hostages. I didn't ask for that situation, I was put into it. You can't hold me responsible for somebody else's actions. I was just there to protect the hostages. So that's why they let him go, or let him get off of these charges. Either way, he continued committing crimes and since has spent the majority of his life behind bars. I believe he's still behind bars right now. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that one, and I look forward to another episode with you guys. I'm having a lot of fun researching some of these heists, and I really wanted to do this one because it does relate to Payday 2 in multiple ways. And thank you to whoever, I forget your name, whoever told me to take a look at this. I really appreciate that heads up. Let me know what heist you guys want me to cover. Some of you have suggested we cover some of the more current heists, but I was trying to find some that really relate to Payday, and we'll do so in the future. But if you guys have any ideas, let me know. And as a reminder, I will be streaming tomorrow from noon to 2 Mountain Standard Time on Twitch, so check out that stream. We're going to have a lot of fun. I will put a time converter down in the description, as well as a link to our Twitch channel. So we'll see you guys then, and if we don't, we'll catch you in another video. Kyoka.